And now it's the Rob from 106.1 KISS FM here with my tag team partner in podcasting.
Hey, it's Eric Cornish, and this is the Enhancement Talent. Thank you for joining us here on this Thursday. And right off the bat, we've got to say a big congratulations, because over the month of August,
that's right,
we had those keywords. We had you submitting your keywords when you saw them. And congratulations to Kelly Ford from Evansville, the winner of 6 months of the WWE Network.
That's great.
She actually ended up with 2 of the keywords.
Nice.
So
a regular viewer.
Yes. So
we appreciate that very much.
Thank you very much, Kelly, and we hope to have more cool stuff for you in the future.
And also a big thumbs up to a girl for liking wrestling in the Enhancement Talent.
Right.
So thank you very much. I'm assuming that's a girl.
Yeah, I believe it is. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we've got a whole lot to talk about today, Eric. So I'm going to throw a few things at you here. There were I use certain services to get my radio show together in the morning. And it's rare that they cover wrestling stories. It's got to be a pretty big story for them to cover it.
Yeah, unless you're WWE and you're in bed with ESPN, you kind of it's like pulling teeth to get like the hidden wrestling stories pulled out to the mainstream. So
there were 4 times since our last video that that wrestling has appeared in my radio show prep.
It's a lot.
And I wanted to throw some at you. We'll talk about the 4 biggest stories in wrestling this week if you want to.
Yeah, sounds good.
I think the biggest story this week involves Superfly Jimmy Snuka. At 70 years old, suffering allegedly from dementia and also a form of stomach cancer, taken into custody for the murder of his girlfriend in 1983. Yeah,
and this is a story that's been legend for years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people have discussed this story, forever. And actually, what's weird about this is I just had pulled up, one of those blogs that people do. You occasionally see in your Facebook feed that's from somebody you don't even follow, but they'll throw it up there and hey, look at these wrestling stories that have been major cover-ups over the years, and that was one of them. That was like the number 1 cover-up. And later on that same afternoon, I find out that he has been arrested. Now, I did hear that he turned himself in, is
what
I'm hearing. Bill Apter actually put out a story saying they did not arrest him. He actually turned himself in. So.
Okay, yeah, so I guess there's mixed reports there. I don't know, what happened. But either way, a weird story.
Yeah, it is. I mean, considering that this was a cold case after, so many years. But I guess the story goes that she was removed from his hotel room, unresponsive, and then ended up dying later, and nothing ever happened there. So.
Forget the wrestling and the celebrity aspect of the story. For a murder to be reopened after over 32 years, because this murder took place before I was born, is crazy. To have lived a lifetime and now you're being arrested for a crime 32 years ago, whether you did it or didn't, is kind of weird.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, and to turn yourself in, I guess the pressure had gotten greater. I mean, and with social media, in the social media world we live in, I mean, whether you want to admit it or not, that has a lot to do with the way that certain things turn out, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And, once people are talking about it again with blogs like the one I read, I mean, it was
an Allentown newspaper, I believe, that reopened the case.
Really?
So there was that. And real
Strange.
quick, wanted to mention this, removed from the Hall of Fame.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
see, now, I didn't see that.
Taken off of the Hall of Fame, at least on the website.
Really?
On WWE's
well, see, Hogan's off of that, too.
I believe Hogan's off as well.
But I mean, makes sense. Kind of makes China look a little more, more desirable to put in there.
That's true, I guess.
Right, Triple H?
I still feel like it's wrong to take somebody out of history.
I think so, too.
But, and also with this one, he's not been proven guilty yet.
Right.
So I still have the one right out a little bit, but hey, what do I know?
Well, at least on one hand, I mean, I don't think it really can come back on the WWE, whether it was a cover-up or whatever. I mean, it might on the company, but if it was 83, that was before Vince purchased it, I think, when Vince Jr. purchased it.
I think Vince was in charge at the time, but it was around that time, I think, that the change happened.
Who knows? It could be something that comes back on that company.
Yeah.
If it was a cover-up.
No, my understanding it was Vince Jr. who was with the briefcase full of cash, allegedly.
Really?
So, but again, more details on this one as it develops. This is a crazy story. I saw Hulk Hogan apologizes for the comments he said on the sex tape that Gawker released, using the N-word and speaking unkindly of certain people and races, and also blames it on the environment he grew up in.
Yeah, that's probably a little bit of it. I mean, And you know, I mean, what can you do at this point? It's everybody's heard you say it. Everybody, you know, do I believe that Hulk Hogan is racist? Not necessarily, but I mean, pretty condemning language, obviously. Do I think he needs to come back in the spotlight right now and be back with the WWE? No. But, you know, what else can he do but apologize and move on? And it's probably sincere. I mean, I
do believe that. And I want to point out that a lot of people of all races and creeds have come to Hulk's defense about this. So I don't know how I feel. I mean, if it were anybody else, a celebrity I wasn't so fond of, and I read that, I would just write them off immediately as a racist a-hole. So I don't know why I want to lean to agree with you when you say you don't think Hulk's a racist, but when you read that transcript back, it's ugly, and it's so easy for him to say it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with I do think he's a racist, but that's just me.
And again, I'm not trying to justify it, but I think there's different kind of racists too. I think there's people that say things to get a rise out of people that, you know, aren't like a hateful racist, and maybe that's how I see it. Not that it's right on either sense, but there are people, there's comedians, there's people that say things to get a rise out of people or to get a laugh out of people that aren't, I agree different than a hateful racist, you know what I mean? Either way, it's not right, I'm just saying.
In one of Eddie Murphy's stand-up specials, he has a great line. He says, if it's funny, nothing is racist, but nothing about what Hulk said was funny.
True.
So that's story number 2. Story number 3 I wanted to pitch at you involves a shooting outside of the WWE Performance Center.
Another weird situation, and has it ever been revealed, like, really who shot this guy?
The police shot him, yeah. He had a knife. They told him to drop it. He started charging the 2 police officers. One of them fired, and I don't know if he's... last I read, he's in critical condition.
Yeah, it's just... that's one of those just weird, you know... Guy is messed up, and it just happens to deal with wrestling, but if you've seen some of his videos, it's pretty creepy. This guy's a threat, I do believe.
A guy who wanted to have a job at the Performance Center. My understanding, he was obsessed with Lita, who was training at the Performance Center.
There's been some videos about AJ Lee, you know.
That too.
About AJ Lee.
Did you hear that shortly before this all happened, he rubbed his feces and urine all over the Performance Center?
Yeah.
How does this happen?
I don't know. This guy not
obviously
good.
Yeah.
And when that gets the mainstream coverage, that's when fans like us get a bad name, and not all of us are like that, I promise. But,
I haven't smeared my feces on anything.
No,
or my urine. So I don't know. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. And then one last story I wanted to throw at you, Eric, which I was surprised crossed over into national news, but did. Zahara was released by the WWE because of social media posts from 2012 that had the swastika. Now, she didn't say anything that was like pro-Hitler or pro-Nazi or anti-anybody else, but said that she believed that the swastika was like a symbol of, I want to say, purity and love, or I forget what her term was.
Yeah, I mean, when she started, you know, when people started bringing up that she had the, you know, there was things like a My Little Pony that, well, that did look like Hitler. I mean, come on.
And had a swastika
and had the mustache, too. I mean, come on. So, but... when she started defending these things on social media, that was the beginning of her downfall.
Now, are you talking about defending in 2012 or 2015?
In 2015.
Okay.
I mean, because, you know, that's where she began to defend, you know, when people started calling her out on it, and she was defending it.
Well, let's also not forget that the only other reason I know Zahara is from a sex scandal involving nude photos of her and an alleged affair with Seth Rollins.
Right.
So, you know, this is someone who's, I think, maybe has enough of a crap swarm around her to justify a release, in my opinion.
I agree.
Yeah, so that's what I would do. I would just cut bait on this one. How good could you possibly be that you can justify, you know, the swastika?
Yeah, I mean, that was her downfall. But again, it's like you work for this big company and you know what's surrounding the other things we even just talked about. I mean, you know, you should probably protect yourself instead of trying to justify something that might be a little controversial.
Well, and it also sends a message to people in her spot, people who want to be on the main roster. What you say means things. The words you say mean things. So let that be a lesson.
That's in any job. I mean,
absolutely.
Especially if you're in the public eye, like us. We got to be careful what we say on social media and post on social media.
And we've all been there with our. I mean, like maybe not us personally, but we've seen it around us where people make mistakes and it affects them in ways that that they never ever expected. So those are the big happenings of the week. This is like an old school Enhancement Talent.
It really is.
Very news intensive.
Yeah.
Getting back to our roots, I feel like. Congratulations to Kelly Ford again for winning the WWE Network.
That's
6
right.
months free, and we appreciate you watching.
And you can watch the Enhancement Talent free. Go back, watch old episodes, reminisce with us, and we'll see you next week.